Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Nara, and in this corner of the internet, we love to read. So if you do too, we would love to have you here. So take a moment and subscribe to my channel so we can grow this little community of feral book readers. So today we are doing a September wrap up. I know it is halfway through October, but scheduling was not scheduling this month, and this was the only time I could post my little September wrap up. So in September, we've read 8 books, which is not so bad. I usually read between 8 to 12 books. If I don't have much time, it could go a little bit lower. When I'm not that busy, I can even read 15 books a month, which is bonkers. But yes, let's go through all of the books we've read this month and rate them and see how I like them. So the first book we've read in September is Servant of Earth by Sarah Halling, and you might have seen one of my latest videos reading this book. It was in my knocking off my September TBR, and I gave this book 4.25 stars, which is quite high. And the reason is this book pretty much surprised me. The premise of this book is like any other fae fantasy filled with elemental magic, fae politics, having different courts, secrets, betrayal, and you would think that it would be pretty much like any other fae fantasy. So if this is your jam, you will definitely enjoy this. But I do want to mention that even though the premise looks like something that is similar to, for example, A Court of Thorn and Roses, this stands on its own because it feels so different than any other fae fantasy that I've read before. The ending of this book was so interesting because I did not expect this unique cliffhanger, and I cannot wait to pick the next book in the series. I don't know if it's just a duology or if this book is a series, but yeah, I totally recommend this book. Also, if you didn't know what this book is about, in this world, Kenna is a human and she lives in a human world. And a fae realm also exists on the other side of a gate. Every couple of years, or every single year, I don't remember exactly, 4 women are being sacrificed to be given to the fae realm. And so that year, to her dismay, Kenna's best friend is being chosen to be sacrificed with 3 other women, and Kenna decides to do anything to save her best friend. But she ends up traveling to the Fae realm, given to be a servant to one of the princess of one of the court living in this Fae realm. And she actually needs to help this princess go through these trials to be able to ascend and be giving her full powers. And so many things happen. This is just the beginning of the books. There's just so much plot, so much lore. You have to understand all the politics behind it, and I just love this book. Okay, so the next books are the 2 books in the first Esprithian trilogy. I think it is a trilogy if I'm not mistaken, which are Riftborn and Duskbound. I actually gave Riftborn 4.5 stars and Duskbound 5 stars. I was not expecting to love these 2 books so much. I am currently reading the arc of another book that is a sequel to this series. So you do need to read Riftborn and Duskbound before reading The Ascended because it is a prequel and you do need to follow the chronological order. And I do agree on that because if you do not, you will be lost and you will lose some of the plot points that I think are essential for you to read Riftborn and Duskbound first. But yeah, so in this story, we are following Fia, who is a Riftborn, a refugee of a failed rebellion of Riftramar, who has been extinct. So this community has been extinct by the She community, and she now lives in She with a mark on her skin, on her arm to be more precise, to be known as a child of a rebellion. And Sophia has powers that she is hiding, but one day they erupt in a way that she could not hide them anymore and is being caught by the General Larrick Ashford, and she pretty much has only 2 choices. Either die or she has to join the army of She and train with them to actually grow her power and be able to contain them and use them for the She army. So that's all I'm going to say. This is just the beginning of the book, and I don't want to say anymore because just experiencing the book as it goes is just pure bliss. So yes, I really, really, really recommend. If there is one book series that I recommend this year, it will be Riftborn and Duskbound, and then The Ascendant, because I'm almost done with this book and I think it's going to be a 6 stars if I'm being honest. So yeah. Okay, so for the next book, we are going to talk about Sea Witch, which is a book that I gave 2.5 stars. And the reason is I did not read the blurb, or maybe I did read the blurb, and I did not catch that it was a retelling. It is pretty much the Mermaid retelling, but the prequel of Mermaid. And I just do not enjoy retelling. And the reason is I think that they are easy to pick up. I don't like when the plot is too easy to figure out. I like being kept in the dark. I like racking my brain to understand what is happening. And this book just did not pique my curiosity. I, at some point, wanted to DNF because it was just too, I don't want to say boring because things were happening, but nothing was grabbing my attention, if I'm being honest. But I do think that if you do enjoy retellings, you should definitely pick it up because I do feel like some people enjoyed this book so much, and even more the sequel of this book. So yeah, it was just not for me, I guess. And that's the reason why I rated it 2.5 stars. So this next book is pretty much my new hyperfixation, which is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabah Tahir. And I give this book 4.5 stars. It was just so good. It is a young adult romantasy, I want to say, but it does feel a bit dystopian-ish, but I feel like it is a good mix between romance fantasy and dystopian. The thing is, I just don't understand because why is no one talking about this series? I know it was very well loved and known a couple of years ago, but I feel like this book series or quartet is just a staple of good young adult romantasy because you have everything that you need to have the perfect collection of a good fantasy. And first of all, this is dual POV, so we do have our female main character and our male main character's POV, which is so interesting because in this story we are following Laya, who is a scholar, which pretty much is the community that is being marginalized. So they are very poor, not very much liked by the marshals, which are the elite community. And so her brother is being caught by the masks, which are the army of the marshals, and he is being imprisoned because he has been known to be working for the rebellion. And so Laya is stuck and has no other choice but to join the rebellion and has to hide in plain sight to work for the commandant of the army and try to figure out a way to save her brother. On the other side, we have Elias, and Elias is part of the mask, but he is working towards escaping and deserting the army, and the only result of being caught deserting is death. And in this book, both of their story converge in so many ways, and having both of their POV makes it so interesting. You get to see both of part of the rebellion and the part of the elite and the marshals and the mask and see how things are working. And when Laya does hide in plain sight and learn some things, you still have both POVs seeing how she thinks about things and how he thinks about things. It is just so interesting and so rich of thoughts and feelings, and you get to see so many parts of these characters and see how the good ones are not always the good ones, the bad ones not being totally bad. And I just love when we get to question people's morals and values, and I absolutely love that. And I think this should be in so many more books. We should be able to read and to understand and reflect about how we live our life and how we view things around us. So yeah, 4.5 stars. I am currently also reading the second book, which might be a 5 stars. But we'll be talking about this in our October wrap up. I will not miss on talking about this series because I just love it so much. Next, we have Yours Truly by Abby Hermanes. The rating of this book surprised so many of my mutuals on Goodreads. I gave this book 5 stars because just the yearning in this book was just so present throughout the whole front to back of the pages, you could see how much our characters are yearning for each other, how they love each other, how they act like they would give the moon to just be together. And I just love this. We are following Brianna and Jacob. Jacob just arrived as a new doctor into Brianna's hospital. She is also a doctor. And Jacob makes a couple of missteps and hurts the staff and the nurses, and that makes him look like a bad doctor. But an incident occurs, and Brianna and Jacob end up starting writing to each other letters. And the way that they write to each other is just so soft and full of vulnerability, and they just pour their heart out without saying, I love you, I miss you. The way they use their words towards each other is just filled with tension and angst and love and yearning, and you just want to root for them to be together. And I just loved it. I loved it from start to finish. It was perfection, and that says a lot because I love romanticides, and I do like to read sometimes some romance just in between bigger romanticides. And for me to give a 5 star to a romance says a lot about how much I loved it and how much you should too. If there is one person who can write a novella that feels like a novel and makes it just filled with tension and angst and love, it is Ali Hazelwood. And we listened to Under One Roof, which is a 4 hours novella between two people who have to live together in a house. We have Mara, who is actually an environmental engineer, and she works towards making our planet better. On the other side, we have Liam, who is a big oil lawyer, which is insane because we have these two nemesis who have to live under one roof because Liam's aunt gave half of their house after her passing to Mara and the second half to Liam. And so they both own this house and they both want to live in it. So they have to live under the same roof and try to figure out and navigate how to sell or just buy the other's second half. And it is their love story and it is beautiful, and I gave this 4 stars. The last book that I read in September is actually a reread, which is A Dawn of Onyx, and it is the first book in the Sacred Stone trilogy. And I reread this book in preparation to read the second book, which is A Promise in Peridot, if I'm not mistaken. I initially gave this book 4 stars last year, but after reading over 100 books, I feel like I had to give it a 3.75 now because rereading it made me understand that it was a good fantasy, but it was not a unique one. And by that, I mean that the writing is good, the plot is good, we love the magic system, the dragons, and the Fae realm. We love all of that. But there's nothing that is out of the ordinary, out of everything that I've read before. And for that, I want to give it a 3.75. I think it is a good fantasy if you want to start reading romanticides. It will still be one of my favorite just because it is one of the first that I've read when starting again. So in this world, we are following Arwen, who is a healer, and her people are actually in war with another community, and her brother is part of the army. One day, her brother comes back and tells them that they have to leave because he has been followed by the enemy army. And what happens is that Arwen's mother is very sick, and by the time they went to the boat to leave, they forgot her medicine. So Arwen decides to let them go and go back to pick up the medicine. And when she enters her house, the enemy army is waiting. They take her up and she travels to the other community where she has to work as a healer. Yeah, I totally do recommend this book if you are starting in romantasy. I think that the world building and the magic system is very easy to grasp. You won't feel like it's too complicated to understand. You won't feel like you are being lost. You will be able to understand it and grasp it very easily. But if you are a very seasoned romantasy reader, this might be something that you pick up just as a cozy read, as something that you can pick up very quickly and very easily. So yeah, these are all the books we've read in September. I hope we get to read more books in October. I have such a long TBR for this month. I have so many arcs that I'm reading this month. We picked up in my latest video 5 books for my TBR. I actually added a couple here and there because they're just so perfect for the Halloweeny season. If you guys enjoyed this video, please take a moment and give it a like. Let me know what you guys are currently reading so I could add it up to my TBR. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!